Hello crafters, this is Mary Prasad. Visit me at artbymdp.blogspot.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this Halloween themed faux glass charm with StazOn inks and shrink plastic. For this project, you'll need the following supplies listed on the screen. The shrink plastic I'm using is by Shrinky Dinks Crystal Clear. I've already die cut these bottles, and I'm going to use the stamps on the right to stamp on the labels and the one on the left to stamp the background. A stamp positioner makes it easy to stamp on the plastic. First I'll stamp on a sheet of white paper, and then I'll position the plastic over the areas I want stamped. Although my charm is Halloween themed, you could easily change the theme by using different stamps. I'm using StazOn Jet Black ink to stamp everything on the plastic on the front. Then when I color, I'll be using the StazOn in different colors on the back side. Here I'm just looking at the design and deciding where to place my plastic that will become the labels on the bottles. For the background, which will also be the base of the charm, you're going to want to cut this with a trimmer so the edges will be straight. Since the labels are so small, they will stick to the stamps, so just take them off carefully with the tweezers. You may use alcohol and a cotton swab to remove any extra lines or other stuff you don't want on the labels. You may use this trick to erase any of the stamping, and you can even start over if you like. To color the bottles and labels, I'm going to use a variety of colors of StazOn ink. Remember that if you have already stamped, you're going to want to do this from the back side. I'm using an ink blusher to apply this to the larger areas. Later I'll switch to another tool to fill in the smaller areas. I had originally colored one of the tops of the bottles in orange, but decided I didn't like that. If it was going to be transparent, you would see the color underneath. So you'll see me later switch it to black. To clean my rubber stamps, I'm going to first mount them on a clear plastic block just to give me more hold for my stamp scrubber. And I'm going to use StazOn all-purpose cleaner to clean them. This gets them really clean. Now I'm going to color the background image for the main charm. Again, I'm going to flip it over and color from the back side. I'm going to use a Doodle Sticks tool to apply the color in a dabbing motion. This first color was very subtle, so you may not see it in the video. Use alcohol and a paper towel to clean off the tip of the Doodle Sticks. I clean it between each color. I'm only going to show a few of the colors being applied, and then I'm going to skip to the end. One thing I wanted to mention, the colors will actually intensify when the plastic shrinks. I wanted the blue to be lighter, so I applied it in strokes. My image is just about done, so now I'm going to mark where I want the holes. It's important to punch these holes before you shrink the plastic. I've gone ahead and marked them with a Sharpie. I'll look through the hole punch, this happens to be a crocodile, and line up the hole and then punch. Remember to do this on both sides. Here I'm just removing the orange from that bottle lid I mentioned earlier. Then I recolored it with jet black ink. Here's where the magic occurs. Be sure to follow the instructions as they're directed on the packaging. It always amazes me at how small these things come out. Now I'm going to place the bottles on the scene where I want them, and then I'll glue them down. The label on the green bottle probably will not fit back into the hole. This is because the shrinking process is not perfect. This doesn't bother me since I wanted a 3D look anyway. It is important to apply glaze on to every part that was colored or stamped. If you don't do this, it will come off when we start to emboss. Use an ink blusher to apply. Use a strong glue to adhere the bottles and the labels. Using clear embossing powder is the key to making this look like glass. I'm going to put several layers on. You can either use Versamark ink pad and tap it on, or what's better is using the Versa marker so you can get into the smaller areas. If any of the ink does come off on the marker, just wipe it on a piece of paper. Coat the piece really well with the clear embossing powder. Hold the piece with a pair of tweezers so you can heat it. Be sure to aim the nozzle of the heat gun away from the powder that's open. You really don't want to make that mistake. And yes, some of that powder did blow across my desk. For the repeated coats, you may either cool down the piece and use the Versa marker again as you did, or if you're quick, while the piece is still hot, dip it into the embossing powder and it will stick to the already heated embossing powder. Once you're happy with the amount you have on the front, make sure you do some on the back. I actually put a little bit on the back and didn't make it smooth. I wanted it a little pebbly, which helped add to the look of glass. As a final touch to my charm, I decided to add silver embossing powder all around the edges so it looks like a frame. Between heatings, I covered my embossing powder so it wouldn't blow all over my craft area. I did the sides one at a time so I would have more control. Once I was finished with the charm, I just added a couple jump rings and mounted it on a chain. This is the final result. I put the clasp next to the charm, but you could also put it in the back if you'd like that instead. You might notice one of the mistakes I made was not leaving a clear space behind the orange label. The purple shows through too much, making it difficult to read the inscription on it. For more information about this process, please visit artbymdp.blogspot.com.